Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. All right, Rudy Giuliani's in the news. New York, who had suspended Giuliani's law license in 2021, has now revoked his law license. Quote, the seriousness of the respondent's misconduct cannot be overstated. Giuliani flagrantly misused his position and baselessly attacked and undermined the integrity of this country's electoral process. In doing so, he not only deliberately violated some of the most fundamental tenets of the legal profession, but he also actively contributed to the national strife that followed the 2020 presidential election, for which he is entirely unrepentant. Giuliani's response: this case is based on an activist complaint replete with false arguments. And he will appeal this objectively flawed decision, because it's politically and ideologically corrupted decision. The only, honestly, the part I was claiming that I was laughing about is replete with false arguments. Yeah, it would be Giuliani's false arguments. Giuliani should know that it was replete with false arguments, but he was implying it was the prosecution. Okay. Also, his Washington law license has been suspended, and he was recommended for disbarment there too. So expect to hear more of the same. But let's look at the energy around Rudy Giuliani now that he has lost his law license. His star has fallen. America's mayor has fallen on hard times, and he's just flushed whatever his reputation was right down the sink. Okay, entertainment purposes only. What's the energy around Rudy losing his law license? We start off. Foundation of the reading is the Page of Swords. Unskilled. He hasn't practiced law since 1992. So you're looking at, 32 years of not practicing. So this decision really isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, because he hasn't done any court cases. It's more of an ego blow than anything else. And he probably wasn't, and I suspect he wasn't that great of a lawyer anyways, because if he was, Trump wouldn't be in all the trouble that Trump is in right now, and Rudy wouldn't be in all the trouble that Rudy is in right now. So this is just, part of this is just going to be the humiliation of Rudy Giuliani, but he wasn't that great, from this card, he wasn't that great a lawyer to begin with. And he's done. And he will never be a great lawyer. He will never have the opportunity to practice and become skilled at being a lawyer, because he's going to lose his law license. Not only here, but he'll lose it in Washington, D.C. as well. Underneath it all is the Knight of Cups. Honestly, the Knight of Cups is about relationships, false friends on the low energy. Rudy was never who we thought he was. He had his public persona, and then he had his private persona, and his private persona was definitely different. He's a much smarmier person than we ever would have thought he was. I mean, he got this squeaky clean America's mayor image, but and that was the other thing in this AP article. It commented that he had come across as a centrist who could work with Democrats, and that he was, he had a lucrative globe-trotting consulting business. Not anymore. He doesn't. He showed his true colors, basically. He showed his true colors. In the past, you got the Empress. Rudy had it all. Post 9/11, he had the reputation. He had his law, he had his law degree stuff. He was a district attorney. He had it all. The guy was sitting on top of the world and celebrated. And that doesn't mean he wasn't a jerk back then, but for folks in California who didn't deal with New York politics and such, he had a squeaky clean reputation. Just saying. He also doesn't treat women very well. Current situation, we go from having everything sitting on top of the world to the devil. The devil has come to collect his payment. Your soul, you offered him your soul. He gave you this comfortable lifestyle, but that lifestyle is now over with. And let the games begin. Rudy's life is not going to get any better. The other thing with Rudy is, he seems to have his own demons, again, with how he treats women and with alcohol. So he's got other things he needs to deal with as well, on top of this. I'd mentioned his star fell, and here it is. Overall, he was on top of the world. He was a star. His star has fallen. People now see him for who he really is. The lesson to be learned from all this, all these backroom deals, he's been corrupt. He's been a corrupt backroom dealer, entertainment purposes only. I have no evidence of this, for a long time. And that corruption has been laid bare for everybody to see. And the outcome is the Three of Swords, the betrayal. Go from the Three of Pentacles, and the lesson to be learned, to the Three of Swords, the betrayal, the heartbreak. He was a false friend. He was a false person. He's been revealed for who he is. His star has fallen. His ability to make money has gone dark. And his actions and behavior are hugely disappointing. In the end of the day, he never deserved the reputation that he had. The news media wanted a good mythos story for Rudy Giuliani, and they created a mythology for him. And he was never that person. And now he's being held to account. He has to pay for all his false deeds. Okay, just wanted to pause real quick to see what else was going to throw on. So he lost his law license, and he's just lost his reputation. He is basically bankrupt, and he has in the liquidation stage here. Will Ruby Freeman and Shay get any form of financial settlement of? Obviously, they're not going to get their full $148 million. But will they get something that the universe would say is a suitable amount, shall we say? Will they see something that would be suitable for what they went through? That would be no. Heartbreak, betrayal. Whether that's Rudy hiding the money or doing something like that. I mean, certainly his attacks on them were horrific. And walking away. Emotionally going away from it. Knight of Wands. Part of a plan. Honestly, he attacked these people, made them go into hiding, and it was all part of a plan to vilify them to advance Trump's false election claims. Let's see if that's what the case here is. We don't have any money yet. In the past, we have the Ace of Cups. By doing this to them, he put them in fear for their lives. He basically turned MAGA loose on two innocent women who were doing their civic duty. Current situation is the Seven of Cups. The complete lack of integrity of this man. Did not care a lick for these two women. Absolutely not even a little bit. He forgot who they were as soon as he had said their names. He only remembered their names because he had to keep repeating them as their corrupt actions to basically hide his corrupt actions. Overarching energy is the Knight of Pentacles, and he has to pay for that. He lost that defamation lawsuit. He has to pay. Lesson to be learned is the Ace of Wands. He didn't think he would ever have to be held accountable for this. But the courts came in and said, yeah, you have to. You owe these people money. Pay up. Queen of Swords. it's pretty obvious from the judge that, yeah, this is something he has to do. Now, let's say we'll follow this reading. Let's say he doesn't pay him. This would explain the heartbreak and betrayal. Rudy runs away or claims he's poor or flees or something along those lines. Those women went through a lot. And this is them, how do you move on from something like this? Their lives were turned upside down. They might get some money for it, but no, they have to fight with the banks and other creditors for what little money that Rudy's going to have when he's left over. Lesson to be learned, they have every right to be paid the money that Rudy Giuliani owes them. But just because they are on the mountain of right doesn't mean that the courts are going to see it that way. Now, before, I've seen readings where they get paid. I don't know if the energy's changed on that. And maybe it's just in some way Spirit saying there's no amount of money that you could give these women to give them their lives back. Okay, Arizona. Now we've also got the fake elector schemes. You've got the Georgia case, the Arizona case, amongst others, where Giuliani's implicated. Now, mind you, just because Trump gets presidential immunity doesn't mean Rudy Giuliani gets immunity, because he wasn't the president. So, will Giuliani... Heck, the question I should be asking, will he live long enough to stand trial? But assuming Giuliani lives long enough to stand trial on these cases, will Giuliani be convicted of these cases? Maybe that's the better way to phrase it. Foundation of the reading is the Nine of Swords. The stuff nightmares are made of. Go figure. A former prosecutor now being prosecuted, caught out for all the bad things that he's done. Should he live long enough? Yes. He's going to prison. He's not happy about it. Crossed with the Seven of Wands. He'll fight it. He'll fight it as best he can. I'll be humored if he tries to represent himself here. But I think the problem that he's got is it's a nightmare because there's so many cases coming against him. A lot of the swing states had fake electors, and he's going to be in the middle of all this turmoil. He's going to be constantly fighting these court cases. Underneath, if Rudy dies, it's because his heart gave out on him. He's an old man. He cannot keep up this pace. You got the Nine of Swords and the Six of Swords here. But to me, this is also going up the river. Yes, should he live so long, he'll be going to prison. In the past, you got the Nine of Cups. Rudy as President Trump's lawyer. Rudy as as a district attorney. Rudy with all this power and everything like that. Nothing could touch him until it did. Current situation. Now you've got the court cases coming up. Rudy's being held to account. He is no longer untouchable. The courts are here for his actions in the government and such. It's going to be a huge burden on him. There's just so much going on. He's got the Seven of Wands to fight it, but he's got the Ten of Wands that he's fighting. It's too much. His heart could really give out. He could die of a heart attack before he ever sees the inside of a prison cell. Three of Swords is the lesson to be learned in that is heartbreak and betrayal. He's betrayed all his oaths that he took when he was in office with the Hierophant, and that Ten of Wands overarching. So what do we have again? Foundation is Nine of Swords crossed with the Seven of Wands. Nine of Cups is in the past. Hierophant present. Ten of Wands and the overarching Three of Swords in the lesson to be learned. And the outcome is the Ace of Pentacles. Certainly he's going to pay up big money for this, but I do think he's going to have a big health event. I would be surprised if Rudy sees the inside of a prison cell. And it's not because I think he's going to get away with it. I think he may not have the health. He may not live long enough to see the inside of a prison cell. It would not surprise me at all if he has a major heart attack and dies from that, from the stress that he's under. Okay, one last throw. Little four-parter. What's the lesson Rudy was supposed to learn from all this? All his actions led to all this. What's the lesson Rudy should be picking up from all this? We'll end it after that. Yikes. What's the lesson Rudy should be learning from all this? Okay, let's see. Four-quarter. Hierophant. Government. Big organizations. I think basically he's been given a lot of opportunities, free will opportunities, to make big changes in this world. Both, again, as a district attorney in New York and then getting into the White House. Being in the district attorney in one of the most important states in the Union and being involved in the White House. He had some big, visible platforms with which he could do what he needed to do. He lost his way, though. He did not keep his eye on the prize. He could have done some incredibly good things, but he lowered his energy and went after the money and went after the things of value. He got tempted by vices as opposed to staying true. Yeah. Ace of Swords. Oh, God. He had a big platform, and he's thoroughly and utterly corrupted. Absolute power corrupting, absolutely. Oh, he's in for it. He had the ability to really affect change. Again, he was on a huge platform. But he lost his eye on the prize. He compromised his values. He compromised his morals and his ethics. Why? Because he wanted money. Because he was greedy. Plain and simple. Money corrupted this man. And he's got a lot of vices and a lot of corruption in there. Just watching a soul fall. Watching a soul fall. That's what happened with him. We'll leave it here. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your likes, shares, comments, everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm so this video makes it out to a wider audience. To folks discovering this channel recently or for the first time, welcome. Glad you found us. Hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.